Alright guys, this is and should be the final update video pertaining to what happened in the long run as far as getting my TX22 repaired. In the review video of it, I had the case basically the gun exploded towards the end of the video, and I want to just settle this right now because there seems to be a lot of confusion as to what happened. A lot of people are leaving comments saying it was the gun or this or that. It wasn't the ammo. A lot of other people can tell that it was clearly the ammo, but I want to explain exactly what happened because there seems to be a lot of confusion. So if you watch the review video, first of all, I had an issue with two different rounds. They were stingers, but two separate shots, okay? So earlier on in the video, I had one that kind of went bang real loud, and there was a lot of smoke and a lot of felt recoil, and I had a split case that was the end result of that, and I didn't know what happened. I was saying in the video how I thought maybe it was overcharged or something, maybe the brass was weak, I don't know. I think the consensus at that very moment was it was an overcharged shell or something, and because I got a really loud bang and lots of smoke in the case split. What I believe actually happened was I believe that was that round was also a squib load. It just wasn't as bad as the second and final one that pretty much rendered the gun inoperable. So I continued to go through the stingers because I didn't know 100% if it was an issue with the gun or if it was the ammo. So I continued to shoot the rest of the stingers in the review video. And then in the last 5 final rounds that I had of the stingers, the gun blew up because I had a squib load. I put little annotations and text over the video trying to explain what was occurring, and like I said, not everybody seemed to understand that, so let me explain here. I put the last 5 rounds into the magazine of the stingers that I had. First shot went off fine, second shot went off fine, third shot went off fine. And then what actually occurred that I didn't recognize at the moment, number 4 went click. Okay, 1, 2, 3, fine, and then click. I racked the slide and an empty shell came out. So I don't know why, but I thought that the empty shell that came out was shell number 3 and that it had just failed to eject. In reality, that was actually number 4 of those 5 rounds I put in the magazine. And it was a primer-only squib load, which means that basically the primer went off, but none of the gunpowder ignited. And the energy from that primer going off was enough energy to put the bullet about 2/3 of the way down the barrel. And yeah, that actually happens quite often. There's actually Aguila makes the Calibri rounds that they're super low velocity, super quiet because they are a primer only round. It shoots a much lighter bullet, so it still makes it out the end of the barrel, but the point is you can propel a 22 bullet with just the primer, and that's basically what happened. That was a primer only squib load, but because it was bigger, heavier bullet than the Aguila Calibris, which are designed to shoot out of the barrel with only the primer, the bullet got lodged in the barrel. So 1, 2, 3 went off. Click in the video was actually number 4. It was a primer only squib. It went approximately 2/3 of the way down the barrel. I ejected the shell not realizing this. I thought it was number 3 had failed to eject, when in fact it was a squib from number 4. You can even see in the video where I pull the magazine out and there's only 1 bullet left in the magazine, meaning the one that I just ejected was number 4 that is now lodged in the barrel. I put the magazine back in, racked the slide, so I chambered number 5, pulled the trigger, and then it slammed into number 4 that was stuck in the barrel, and that's what caused the explosion. So anyways, that's what actually happened. So now, it took me a few weeks before I called CCI because I was busy. I called him about 3 weeks later, was on hold. I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. So the guy wants to know how many more of the stingers I have from that lot. And he wants a return address because he wants me to send the stingers back in. And also needs my address because they're sending a box out. Oh no, sorry, a shipping label. Okay, they're sending me a shipping label for the stingers. He says he needs to know how many boxes I have first, so he can send the return label. I was like, all right. And I tried to give him my information right there on the phone, and he kept telling me to email him to it. Yeah, email it to him. And I was like, dude, I have you on the phone right now. Why can't I just give you my address now? He's like, well, you're going to email me anyways with the lot information, right? So, just go ahead and send that in the email. So that was a little bit irritating to me. I'm like, I have you on the phone right now. Why can't you just enter my address? But whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll go through my ammo stash. I'll see how many of those stingers I have left, and I'll send you all the information. I also told this guy, while I had him on the phone, that I had a video of everything. Okay, he didn't really say anything when I said that. He just kept kind of telling me what I needed to do and the information to send them and email them and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't tell him it was a YouTube video at first. So then towards the end of our conversation on the phone, which only lasted a few minutes, I recapped and I was like, yeah, like I said, I have a video of what happened. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. I intentionally didn't say YouTube at first because I wanted to see if there was any difference in his reaction. Well, there was. Because when I initially said I had a video of it and he can see for himself exactly what happened, he made no comment whatsoever, didn't even respond to that. And then when I recapped and said, again, reminded him I had the video, but I added the information that it was on YouTube, he goes, oh, YouTube, huh? Like, he did not at all sound amused that it was on YouTube for the whole world to see. So anyways, I emailed him like the next day. Turns out I only had one more box of those stingers. And so I told him, I said, I only have one box of them. I thought I had several, but I only have one. Gave him the address and all that, and I even gave him the link to my YouTube channel so he could go watch the video. So, I don't know, like a week later, I get this return shipping label, and that's all they sent me. They didn't send me a box or anything, they just sent me a label, so I had to source my own box, which, I guess that's not a big deal, but I had to stick their label on my box and go take it to the post office and send them back this box of ammo. So it took 2 or 3 weeks after I sent it out. I finally got a reply back, and he emails me and he tells me that they tested the box of ammo I sent back and that they were fine. They tested out fine. The pressures were right, this and that. They didn't have any issues with them. They shot them all. They'd be sending me a box of stingers back in the mail to replace the one that they shot up testing. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but I sent the 2 cases that you can see in the review video. I sent them to him as well for investigation, or proof rather, of the shells that the first one, the split case, and then the second one, when the gun exploded, it pretty much just turned that shell into shrapnel. So I sent that as well. I sent both of them to him. I sent the one that just had the base of it split a little bit, and then I sent the one that was completely annihilated. So in this email where he's saying that the 50 rounds I sent back were fine, and that they were sending a 50 round box to replace that. He goes on to tell me that he said the round you sent in was fired out of battery. The round. Well, like I said, or I don't remember his exact wordings, whether he said round or case or shell or whatever. He's speaking of the empty shell that it was fired, okay? He said the one that you sent in. I sent him two. I sent him the one with the split case, and the one that was completely annihilated. He goes, the one that you sent in was fired out of battery by 0.00 so many inches, and he said it only takes 0.000 so many inches for it to cause a problem and split the case, and yours was beyond this measurement. So therefore we are concluding that this is a gun issue because the round was fired out of battery, and therefore it's not an ammo issue. And basically said because of that they won't be held accountable. They're not going to do anything about it. Cool, right? Even though I had video evidence of a squib load, right? The round you sent in, the one that you sent in. So I emailed him back. I was like, no, I sent you two. I said, I don't know for sure if the first one was fired out of battery. I said, I know that can cause that issue, that if a gun does fire out of battery, yeah, it can, the case can split and all that. So I'm not denying that as a possibility for the first one. That's not completely annihilated, which is where you're getting your measurements and all that crap from. I said, but I sent you two fired rounds, and the second one is completely obliterated. I said, and obviously you didn't watch the video like I asked you to, or you would see in the video that I did in fact have a squib load where there was one stuck in the barrel and the next one slammed into it. There's literally video evidence of that. I said, clearly you didn't watch the video. So he emails me back and he says, oh yes, well, I searched far longer than I should have to find that video, and I couldn't find it. I was like, is this guy serious? Like, I sent him a link to the channel. All he has to do is go to the channel, the direct link I sent him, and simply scroll down just a little bit, because it was one of my most recent videos, to see the TX22 video. So either this guy didn't try at all, or he doesn't know how to use YouTube. So anyways, he tells me he searched far longer than he should have to for the video and couldn't find it, and asked me to send him a direct link to the video. See, initially I sent him just a link to the channel, because I was thinking any human being who uses internet in 2020 should probably know how to scroll down slightly on a video list, right? But I guess not this guy. So I sent him a direct link to the exact video. About a week goes by, I get an email back, and then he admits it. He said, it does appear that you had a BIB in the barrel, which he, in, I don't even know, quotation, in parentheses, yeah, it says BIB, bullet in bore. He said there was an off-sounding round in your video, and you had a BIB, a bullet in bore. And then he goes, we want you to send the gun in the Taurus, and we'll get you taken care of, basically. And but he kind of smarts off and says that he said I had an off-sounding round, remember? Which, if you watch the video, it's not an off-sounding round. There's literally no sound. It didn't go bang quieter. It didn't go pop. The slide didn't even move. It literally just went click. Just a firing pin click. That's it. But he said there was an off-sounding round. No, there was no freaking sound. So he's trying to talk it up in their advantage. He said, well, there was an off-sounding round and you had a bullet and bore. And he goes to mention that on the back of their ammunition packaging, it says if you have an off-sounding round or a light recoil or whatever, which I read it, it's on there, and that's not word for word, but that's basically what it says. If you have, it says, I believe it's, without getting up and grabbing it, it says something about an overly loud or underpowered round, or if you have lighter than normal recoil or something like that, to stop and check the barrel, make sure there's no obstruction. Okay, so according to what their thing says, either due to light recoil or a difference in sound, check. Well, I didn't have a difference in sound. I didn't have any recoil. There was literally nothing. It was just click from the firing pin. Like, you went click on a dead round, or you went click on an empty case, or you went click and there was nothing in there. So actually, per what their own packaging says, I was in the clear. Because none of the things it describes warranting needing to check the barrel actually happened. I had none of those warning signs because I literally just had a click. But anyways, which I informed him of this, but I was also, it's like the smallest print ever. I was like, yeah, so if someone felt so inclined as to pull out a magnifying glass and actually read your packaging, that's actually what it says. So per your own packaging, I didn't need to check it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a revision to their warnings on their label after speaking with me, because I pointed out a little, I don't want to call it a loophole, but basically what he said his packaging said, it did not. And also, I like how, like I said, he said there was an off-sounding round. No, it wasn't off-sounding. There was literally no sound. The only sound there was a click from the firing pin. Because that primer material is so small, without the slide opening up at all, which it wouldn't from just the primer, and without the bullet exiting the barrel, there's no sound. Now, if the bullet had actually exited the barrel, there might have been just the smallest pop sound from the primer. But I never would have even heard that with hearing protection on. But it's irrelevant because clearly in the video you can see it literally just went click from the firing pin. There was no off-sounding round. There was zero sound. But he tried to talk it up and say there was an off-sounding round, and their package said I should have checked the barrel because I had an off-sounding round, which I didn't. I had no sound. But that they're going to work with Taurus anyways, and they want me to send the gun in. So I was like, oh. I like how there's a complete 180 once you actually watch the video. And this is what pisses me off. Without that video, they basically told me to screw off. Without that video, they said it's my problem. Without that video, they told me I was a liar, that I didn't have a squib load. No, it was fired out of battery. It was the gun's fault, not our fault. We're not going to do anything about it because it was 100% the gun and not our ammunition. That's where they left me at, having not watched the video. So basically, if I was any of you guys and I wasn't recording it and I didn't have video proof, I would have been screwed. They didn't care. They called me a liar. Because I told the guy what happened. I told him I had a squib load. And then, whether you want to say it's my fault or not, I know now under what circumstances to check the barrel. You know, pretty much any abnormal circumstance. But the point is that they called me a liar. They said their ammunition did not mess up. They said I did not have a squib load. And that's what they left it at. So they called me a freaking liar, basically. And without video evidence, it's not even about whether they're going to help me out or not at this point. It's that they're calling me a freaking liar if I hadn't had that evidence, because that's literally what he said. Because he didn't watch the video, and he said, no, you did not have a squib load. Your gun fired out of battery. That's what happened, and it's not our fault. And that's where it would have been left at if I didn't have video evidence. So, yeah, that pisses me off a little bit. But you know what? In the end, CCI is not taking care of me because after watching the video and going, "Oh, well, you were supposed to check the board. That's what our label says because you had an off-sounding round." No, I didn't. I had 0 sound. But anyways, they play along like it's my fault according to their label because I had an off-sounding round, which I did not. I had no sound. But they're going to help me out anyways. They're going to work with Taurus to help me get my gun fixed. So send it into Taurus, and they're going to work with Taurus to fix up my gun. I was like, I see what you're doing now. So I didn't have the money to send it back to Taurus at that very moment. I had to wait till I got paid like a week and a half later because it's fairly expensive to ship a firearm. It's like $50-ish, depending on how far through the states it's going. So I was like, all right, I'll send it to him. And then he emails me like a week later and goes, I just talked to Taurus and they said that you haven't called them and they don't have your gun or none of this stuff. And I emailed him back and I was like, dude, chill. I told you I'll send it to him. I gotta wait till I get paid. I said, I'll try to send it in the next few days after I get paid and I'll call him and all that good crap, right? So that time comes and I call Taurus, and I don't know if you guys, well, some of you have seen my video about the bad barrels. A lot of the earlier models had issues with the barrel rifling where it was offset and it had what they called shatter marks in it, and it just caused all kinds of hell with accuracy issues and lead fouling and whatnot. There was a few people saying that that's also why I had a squib load, because I had lead fouling because of the bad barrel. Like, no, like I said, even if that could cause a bullet to get stuck, that wasn't the case, because in the video you can clearly see for yourself that number 4 just went click. There was no bang, no pop. If that round went off and there was so much lead fouling in the barrel that it got stuck, you still would have heard a bang, it still would have cycled the action, and it probably would have exploded. So that's not why I had the issue I had. I literally had a squib load with no propellant going off. It was primer only squib. But anyways, I called Taurus up, and they didn't even give a shit about CCI or the squib load. I called them up. I said, hey, I was shooting the gun. I had a squib load from CCI. I talked to CCI, and they want me to call you guys and arrange to send it in and all that to get it taken care of. The guy asked me for the serial number on the gun, and then he goes, hey, what's your address? We're just going to send you a new barrel because some of these guns had bad barrels anyway, so we'll just go ahead and send you out a barrel. And that was it. Didn't care at all about CCI. It wasn't even like, well, yeah, let's have CCI pay for it. They were just like, nope, you know what? We've been replacing a lot of barrels on these guns, so we'll just go ahead and send you a new barrel. So thanks, Taurus. Now the shitty part about that is, like I said, I already knew about the barrel issues. Last I heard, prior to calling Taurus, they were on a 12-week back order is what people was being told, because thousands of them are being replaced. So not only are they having to make barrels for the pistols that they're putting on the shelves for sale right now, but they are also having to produce thousands to replace the ones that people already own with the bad barrels. Now, that's shitty quality control on their end, and that's a whole nother subject. They should have never let those guns get out the door. Obviously, they didn't even inspect them, but anyways, in the long run, in conclusion, CCI gave me a bunch of shit about it. They called me a liar. Only after watching the evidence did they want to pretend like they were going to help me out, even though it was my fault. And then in the end, it didn't even matter because Taurus didn't even care, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to send you a new barrel. So that's what happened. I am not happy with CCI. So Yeah, unfortunately, that's what happened, but thankfully Taurus is taking care of it, and that's what I forgot to mention was 12-week back order, right? That's what I had heard before I called them. And now they're telling me they don't know when I'm going to get my barrel, but eventually I will get it. So it's going to take months. I don't even know how long I'm going to be waiting. It's probably going to be summer or fall by the time I get that barrel. But eventually it's getting taken care of. But no thanks to CCI. So, yeah. I'm going to shut up now because this video is already super long. But anyways, there's all the nitty gritty. And yeah, there you go, guys. Thanks for watching.